Paul in Gilead studies about health, how we can simply improve our health as we improve our spiritual health. Balm in Gilead. So today is our topic number 3, and it is entitled "If You Only Knew This About Sugar." Yeah. So if you only knew this about sugar is what our sharing is going to be all about. So let's first define sugar and what it is. What do we know about sugar? Sugar is the generic name for sweet tasting soluble carbohydrates, many of which are used in food. Generally, that is sugar. Though many have zeroed it down to that crystalline substance that they put in their warm water called to add sweetening, but generally sugars are those sweet tasting soluble carbohydrates which can be used in food. So sugars mainly exist in two main forms. One, they are called simple sugars or monosaccharides. This is one molecule, and compound sugars or disaccharides. So monosaccharides, we have examples like glucose, fructose, and galactose. Yeah, glucose, fructose, and galactose. So these are the main simple sugars that we have. Then among the disaccharides, we have sucrose, a combination of glucose and fructose. We have lactose, a combination of glucose and galactose. We have then maltose, which are two molecules of glucose combined together. So those are the disaccharides we have. And the next simple sugars, or these two types of carbohydrates. They are the main existing forms of sugars, or the lowest forms of sugars. But as you advance, we have other forms such as starch, which are long chains of these sugars. Yeah, starch, cellulose, and other things which are described as oligosaccharides. So simple carbohydrates are found in foods such as fruits, milk, and vegetables, so to speak. Then they are found cake, candy, and other refined sugar products are simple sugars which also provide energy but lack the vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So oligosaccharides or polysaccharides are a combination or a long chain of these simple sugars combined together. We have given an example of starch. So long chains of monosaccharides are not regarded as sugars and are called oligosaccharides or polysaccharides. So sugar, generally, we see that sugars occur naturally in some foods such as fruit and dairy products, just as we have spoken, and are also added to a wide variety of foods. Sugar can take many different forms, including white, raw or brown sugar, honey, or corn syrup. Generally, that is the main ways we can meet sugar, as white, raw or brown sugar, then honey or corn, and very many different forms that we meet sugar in, as we're going to be breaking down each point. So this sugar, the basic source of this sugar, we can talk about cane sugar, and today we are going to focus mainly on cane sugar and other refined sugars. So unrefined sugars, we can meet them they retain the original cane molasses. We have whole cane sugar, we have jaggery, pilonchilo, sugar nut. The few I've met jaggery. It's just a brown solid substance of sugar. It's believed that it's natural, and it's yep. Then we have raw sugars. They remove most of its molasses, but not completely. Then refined sugars, there is a complete removal of the molasses in the sugar. So the higher the refining, the more less it contains nutritious products. The higher the refining, the higher the molasses is removed, the higher the substance of which we need is removed. So refined sugars are more sweet, but they lack the vitamins, they lack the fiber. Yeah. So we come now to look at a comparison of natural sugar versus refined sugar. What is the difference and what can we know about these substances? How can I differentiate from the sugars? This research says natural sugar is naturally occurring in food. Think of the sugar that is in fruit or dairy or carbohydrates. That is says Dr. Walford. So natural sugars occur in their natural form. They have not gone through any process. If you get, for example, let me say a fruit, when you eat it directly, that is, you are getting its natural sugar. And he adds refined sugar may be from a natural source, but it has been processed, so only sugar remains. For example, the granulated sugar from cane sugar or corn syrup from corn. So foods like honey and agave sit somewhere in the middle of natural sugar and refined sugar. Why? Because honey is obtained from the nectar that the bees get from the flowers. So it is a second-hand sugar, so to speak, but doesn't reach the level of the white sugar or the refined sugar, because for it is still natural, though it has gone through the natural processes again, other than the artificial processes. Hope you get my point. So about the nutritional value of these comparisons, natural sugar or brown sugar, according to medical news today, energy, it has 377 kilocalories, carbohydrates 97.33, then sugars 96.21, dietary fiber there is no, fat no, protein no, water it has 1.77, then it has a list of vitamins and minerals that are very essential for you and for me. Magnesium very good for the intestine, zinc very good for testosterone and all the sorts of you, iron good for the bones, calcium good for the bones, folate very important, and it has a lot of vitamins that are within it that we need. And coming to the white sugar, this is it. It has kilocalories of 387, a little higher than the brown sugar. Its carbohydrates are 99.98, still higher than the brown sugar. Its sugars are higher than the brown sugar, 99.91. There is no fiber, no fat, no protein. Its water capacity is 0.03. That's a very big fraction of what the water capacity in the brown sugar has. So its riboflavin or vitamin B2 is 0.019 milligrams, a little higher. It's higher than the one in the brown sugar. Then it has calcium 1 milligram, that is very little as compared to the 85 milligrams in the brown sugar. Then the iron we cannot say. Potassium, it's also incomparably very low. So you can see the nutritional value of the brown sugar and the refined sugar. So personally I would go for the brown sugar because it contains more minerals, calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, zinc. Those 7 are very important for your health, yet the white or refined sugar contains but little. Then also the vitamins in the brown sugar are higher than those in the white sugar of the same quantity. If we speak the same quantity of brown and white sugar, the brown sugar proves to be more nutritious than the white sugar. White sugar only adds energy. It is a source of it is a source of a lot of energy, quick energy, but it is not that important to the body. So as we are going to choose which sugar is good for us, we are going to consider you're using the traffic light sign as we choose. So we are going to give green for the good one or for the go, orange for wait a little, then red for stop immediately. So if the kind of sugar you are using falls in the red flag, then you call it off, you give it up immediately, without hesitation, without waiting, without any question, because it is neither important for your life, but it is harmful for your life. If it has a green, then we go forward. Dr. Wolford gives us that clue of how to choose between the source of the sugar that you are going to use. So number one, what we should know about natural sugars: they are safe to eat. Why I say so? He says, any sugar that is naturally occurring in a food gets the green light. So if you are to pick banana, sugarcane, any fruit, name it, as long as it has its sugar in its natural form, it gets a green light. So whatsoever sugar is good for you is that sugar that is natural, without refining. It has a green light. So this includes sugar in fruit, starchy vegetables, as well as whole or minimally processed carbohydrates like brown rice and whole grain pasta. So you can see the source of the good sugar is brown rice. That is minimal processing. The processing is very minimal. They have not removed a lot from it. Brown rice and whole grain pasta, or whole grain wheat, simply to speak. So those are the best. They get the green light for this for this checkup. Everything natural gets a green light. Then, as we are to proceed, we see that now, so wheat, including spelt or durum, brown and wild rice, so to speak, brown rice, gets a green light for this exercise. Oats, they get a green light. Quinoa, green light. Buckwheat, green light. Bulgur, green light. Barley, green light. Corn, green light. Rye, green light. They are possessing their sugar in their natural form. It's not processed, or it's very minimally processed. So then we come to, again, as we ask ourselves, as it tells us, fruits, vegetables, as long as they are not processed, they are good for providing sugars for us. Why? Because fruits come with the fiber in it. Fibers are good to enable digestion, that the body gets what is enough for it and it discards what is not for it. But if you take something without natural fibers, all will be absorbed into the body, and that's how we have spikes in blood sugar and its effects. So what are whole grains? It says grains are the seeds from cereal plants. A grain is considered a whole grain if it still contains the three original parts: the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. So the bran is the fiber-rich outer layer, very important for digestion. So no one should throw away the bran. That outer part is very important for digestion, very important to fight intestinal polyps, very important to reduce hemorrhoids, very important to reduce ulcers in the intestines. Very important because they promote they help in the charming of food, number one, and they are good for increasing the activity of the enzymes in the intestines, for they provide a large surface area over which they can act. So this bran is very important. Never should you ever discard this bran from the food that you eat. Then the germ, the very nutrient part of this embryo, that germ is the source of much of the nutrients. And then the endosperm, the starchy center, which acts as food for the germ. So now, if you remove layer 1 and layer 2, you only remain with the endosperm, which is so starchy. That is why the white flour is very sweet, but it is less nutritious. Very sweet, but less nutritious. It's not good for our health. Yeah, so we have seen how to choose green light for natural sugars. That's why even God in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 1 and the verses 29, he says, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat." So God gave us the best out of the best we need for our good health. He chose it for us, gave us that food, the nuts, gave us the seeds and the fruits for our health. Yeah. And so nutrients found in whole grains, most of the nutrients in whole grains are found in the bran and the germ. So if you go for the endosperm, you have only the sugary part of it. There's no other nutrient you have. So if you remove the bran and the germ, then you have lost it all. It's only the mouth that is tasting happily, but the stomach is feeling bitter. And you know what happens when the stomach is feeling bitter? It causes bitterness to the whole life. So let not the mouth rule what enters in your stomach, because after all, the mouth will enjoy, but the stomach will be bitter. So if you remove the good part of the nutrients, you'll find bitterness. So fiber mainly is found in the outer layer of the in the outer bran layer. Vitamins B, the B vitamins like folate, niacin, and thiamine, they are likely found in the germ. So minerals like iron, magnesium, and zinc. Protein can contain up to several grams of protein per serving. All this we find it in those two parts, the germ and the bran. If you go for the endosperm, you're only going for sugar, high energy, which causes obesity. So omega-3 oils, they are found in the bran and the germ, not in the endosperm. If you go for the endosperm, you're missing the crucial part of the food you're eating. So she says the high fiber content of whole grains can keep you feeling fuller for longer. This can stop you from overeating, helping you maintain a healthy weight. So this is a clue for everyone who wants to be a slender, small person. Eat whole grain food. There is no obesity with that food. So while refined grains have the germ and bran removed to create a finer texture and to extend the shelf life, so examples of refined grains include white flour, white rice, and white bread. So the refining process removes many of the nutrients found in grains. In fact, whole grains can contain up to 75% more nutrients than refined grains. That is a key point. So someone who takes 75% nutrients is far better than you who has destroyed it all. So, and we proceed and just continue. Psalms 104 verse 14 says, "He causes the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of men, that he may bring forth food out of the earth." So this food that is brought out of the earth for us, now many of us have destroyed it. We want the one which is not good for us. We have refined it, and that's how we find health complications and health problems today. So added sugar should be eaten in moderation. Today I say it shouldn't be eaten at all. Although the scientific research shows that it should be eaten in moderation, I would say if you cannot access, if there is a way you can avoid added sugars, it is far better to avoid these sugars. So foods with added sugars get the yellow light. That includes the cane sugar in your yogurt, honey or syrup in your granola. That's what the research says. So you want to minimize any kind of food with added sugars, says Dr. Walford. Pay attention to nutrition labels and stay below the recommended level of added sugars per day. So eat red light foods as little as you can, because they contain a lot of processed sugar. Candies, cookies, cakes, and other sugar-based foods can contain almost all, or in some cases more than the recommended daily amount of added sugar, says Walford. So these group candies, cookies, cakes, sugar-based food, they only bring calories into your body, but they don't add value or nutrient. That means you have higher chances of becoming obese because of the lot of the calories you have in your body. What does the body do to these calories? They are stored in form of fat under your armpits, under your gastrocnemius, under your bums. That's why people become big by eating refined foods, and they think they are healthy, yet they are out of life. So one candy bar or piece of cake can contain around 30 grams of added sugar. So eating these foods regularly leads to weight gain and other problems like obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic conditions. It's important to think about what is going on in your body when you reach for these foods and keep them as a special treat, not for every day. So refined or processed sugars should be limited. No, they should be done away with. Alright. So we have sodas and sweetened beverages. These ones we should get rid of them. They are in the red light too, even if they use artificial sweeteners. And in the red light, they are not good for your life. So artificial sweeteners may have their place for people who are used to drinking sodas and want to transition away from them. But from a nutritional standpoint, I would also put these in the red category, says Walford. So sodas and other artificial sweeteners, they are not good for the health. Let's get done away with them. They are not good, and neither will they ever be good for our health. Full stop. Every added sweetener, every artificial sugar is not good for your health, as we have said. Yes, so then this goes in its raw form. Honey contains amino acids, antioxidants, and some micronutrients. However, the honey we buy in the supermarket undergoes a filtration process and is heat treated to both prevent the sugars from crystallizing and kill microbes, including yeasts. This extends the shelf life and makes the honey look more attractive in the jar, but will negatively impact the honey's beneficial content. Get my point? So, one tablespoon of 20 grams provide 58 kilojoules, which is not as much as how refined sugar is. It has 15.3 carbohydrates, then 0.1 protein and 0 fats. So this makes honey have an orange light compared to the refined sugars, which have a red light. So the darker the honey, the better it is for your health. As you buy it from the shelves, consider its texture and its translucency. If it is very thin and not dark, that is not good. It has lost much of its nutrients. But if it is a little darker, then you can consider buying it and possessing it. It has an orange light. It is there confusing, but it's good. So these sugars still, honey is good for these things below. It's good for hiccups. When we are stressed, honey is good to take, just like a tablespoon you can take. As we are weak, it is a good source of energy. It prevents bedwetting and frequent urination. That is another good thing with honey. It gives a good breath. It helps to fight a bad breath. Then it can turn effects of hangovers, teeth pain in babies, eczema and dermatitis, burns, cuts and wounds. So it can be used for those wounds. That is honey. Sleep disturbances, vision problems, stomach ulcers, diarrhea and dysentery, vomiting, high blood pressure, obesity, jaundice and arthritis. If we get time again, we shall discuss about how honey does these things and how we can use it and why is it important to consider a part of your life. So this goes and says refined sugar has been likened to drugs because it can release dopamine in your body and intensify cravings for more sugar, says Wolford. Food manufacturers add more of it to foods for a reason, to increase appeal and make you want more. That is the secret behind candies and mints, these chewing gums. They have that sugary coating which makes you chew and chew and chew, and you'll want more and more and more. So it is kind of addictive, that refined sugar. That's why you and I should focus on eating wholesome foods. The best way to ensure that you are eating sugar in a way that works for your body is to eat mostly wholesome foods, whole grain rice or brown rice, whole grain bran, wheat, whole wheat. Those are the things that are good for your health. Consider eating those. Eat lean proteins with vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, beans, and seeds, which contain a mix of different nutrients that digest more slowly and keep blood glucose levels stable. Packaged foods have often been stripped of these extra nutrients, and more sugar is added to encourage you to buy them. So there is the secret. They remove the bran and the jam. After that, they package with added sugar that you might crave for these things, and you injure your health. So if somebody loves their body, he loves their life, they would go for something wholesome because it is used in regulated quantities. You see, when God created man, he put in those natural things the ability to regulate the appetite of the eater. For example, the quantity of whole grain corn you eat or bran you eat is different from that which you eat from refined flour or white flour. Someone who eats white sugary flour will eat a lot of it. I mean, mingled portion. You eat a lot of it, but if you eat whole grain, you'll eat little because the bran, the jam, the nutrients, they regulate your appetite. Hopefully, you get my point. So, dopamine has intemperance in eating, even of healthful food, will have an injurious effect upon the system and will blunt the mental and moral faculties. So, do sugary drinks increase colorectal cancer? So here we come at the gist of our sharing today. Here I want your concentration and I want you to observe carefully by Gina Van Tom. So do sugar drinks increase colorectal cancer risk? So here is something, if you and I learn, we'll have very well a better understanding of how we can consider our life. This 21st century, especially these days, we have had a high rate of increase of cancer everywhere, and it is this age of technology and science that cancers have become the order of the day. Why? Because the nutrition of the people has been given less attention, and they don't mind about what they eat or what they drink. So many of your people don't consider what will happen in the future. Our study one pointed us to see beyond today how our lives will be. So sugary drinks and the colon. When the small intestine can't fully absorb the amount of sugar consumed, that sugar spills over into the large intestine and colon. According to Yoon, the glucose and fructose from high fructose corn syrup can boost tumor growth in two ways. Glucose is absorbed by blood vessels, while fructose is absorbed directly into the colon. So tumor cells in the colon typically have many transporters for these sugars. Once inside the tumor cells, the combination of glucose and fructose stimulates a process called lipid synthesis, which in turn contributes to tumor growth. So we see that the higher the sugars, the higher the ability, or the higher the environment is provided for which tumors can grow. That's why I tell my people that if someone is suffering from cancer, the first thing they should do is immediately to cut off their sugar intake, especially processed sugar intake, candies, sodas, and crystalline sugars like refined sugar. They should cut it off. They should even reduce the way they eat. No, they should change from eating white flour, white wheat, white rice, and they turn to the brown rice, brown wheat, and everything that is natural. That's what they should turn to. So UNI's team is also investigating whether diet can influence colon cancer development by altering the gut microbiome. So you can see also they are still researching it, but still these sugars they alter the microbiome or the environment over which the microbes flourish. Why? Because sugar causes an acidic environment which is favorable for tumor development, while it disfavors the life of the microorganisms in the gut. So that leaves the barrier or the security in the gut broken, and the microorganisms die off. So studies indicate that while the proliferation rate of normal cells is maximal at 7.3, tumor cells proliferation is highest at 6.8. That is a little more acidic than what we need. So we can best grow our cells very well when we are towards the alkaline state than the acidic state. Yet we have seen that sugar provide a more acidic environment over which cancer and tumor cells can grow. So if we remove sugar from our, especially refined sugar or high amounts of sugar from our diets, we are making the cancer cells to suffer from hunger. They have nothing to eat. They have no environment to bifurcate and to increase, to grow. We are starving the cancer, and when we starve them, they won't proliferate. That means that either the cancer is arrested to where it is, or it perishes off. That is it. If you starve it, it won't grow any further, and if it does not grow any further, it will certainly reduce. You see how we can fight cancer simply. So if we give our time to our feeding and give mind to what we put into our body, some things are easily fought. So the good pH for cell growth is 7.4, and it is 7.3, which is good for cell growth, normal cell growth. 6.8 is better for cancer growth. So the more you make your body acidic, the more it provides room for the growth of cancer cells. So in order to grow, tumors start making their own blood vessels. Angiogenesis is the process, and the blood vessels supply the tumor with extra oxygen, glucose, sugar, and hormones. As a result, the tumor can grow into surrounding tissue. It is then called invasive cancer. So we see, once tumors get their own blood vessels, they can get a lot of sugar for them to multiply. So if you reduce your intake of sugar, you are giving the cancer or the tumor no food, and it will die off. It will die off. Certainly it will. So this is crystal clear. If everyone could give this a thought, we could have better health, and cancers would start going out of the lives of the people. But we have not minded about the diet of the people, and we are giving a lot of chemo, yet we are not strengthening the body, and people are just perishing. They are not finding true healing. The man asks in Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 11, is there no balm in Gilead? Why is the health of my people not improved? Because my people are perishing because of the lack of knowledge. Get my point? So foods that can starve the cancer, what you see there is what gives cancer life. So the foods we eat can affect our risk of developing certain types of cancer. High energy and high fat diets can lead to obesity and are generally thought to increase the risk of some cancers. So high energy and high fat diets. Why? Because the higher the source of energy, the body, if it can't, what it does, it stores that energy in form of fat in the adipose tissues. That's why we become big after eating junk. And now this gives room for the growth of cancer cells because they have what to feed on. The more you have excess energy in your body, the more the body will use it for everything else that is not needed. But if you give the body what it needs in what quantities it needs it, the body will respond positively and you'll have life, and life indeed. So 16 cancer causing foods. Notice. Number 1, candy tomatoes, refined sugar. Number 2, let's first read that quote. It says, your health is your best asset and your diet can have a huge impact on it. You probably have a general idea of which foods you should be eating: vegetables, fruits, whole grains. But now it mentions the food that cause cancer. That says candy tomatoes, refined food, sugar, alcohol, soda, processed meat, microwave popcorn, mass-produced bread, French fries and potato chips, milk, charred meats, palmed salmon, artificial colors, red meat, pasta, hydrogenated oils, genetically modified organisms. Those are the cancer-causing foods. And today, if so to speak, these foods that I mentioned have become the issue of the day. We are eating a lot of junk more than the good food that we should eat. This we are giving room for the growth of cancer. That's why people are not healing. Get my point? So the first line of defense for anyone who is starving from cancer is to remove sugar from their diet and remove refined sugars from their diet. I repeat, to remove sugar and remove refined sugars from their diet. You reduce the rate at which this cancer is growing, and by God's grace you will starve it to death. So dental decay, still also these refined sugars affect our teeth. No wonder today dental caries has become the order of the day. It is the highly spread non-communicable disease, dental caries. These sugars, which are these high sugars, they cause the acidity. After the bacteria break down these sugars, the acidity that results from their process causes the destruction of the enamel from the teeth, and the teeth slowly the cavity is being, did the enamel? I mean that top layer is being destroyed from the teeth. That's why we have dental caries. Get my point? I'll do some more research about this issue. WHO says WHO works with member states and partners on policies and programs to reduce dental caries as part of work to prevent non-communicable diseases. So key policies include taxation of sugar-sweetened beverages and foods with high free sugar content, implementing clear nutritional labeling, including the information on sugars contained in a product, regulating all forms of marketing and advertising of food and beverages high in free sugars to children, improving the food environment in public institutions, particularly schools, through regulating sales of foods and beverages high in free sugars, prioritizing awareness and access to clean water as a drink that is safe for the teeth. So you can join WHO to fight dental caries by reducing your intake of refined sugars and artificial sweeteners. If you reduce these things, you are helping WHO to fight dental caries, and we shall have a success. Dental caries is a major public health problem globally and is the most widespread non-communicable diseases. So if you want to fight dental caries, the first line is reduce your refined sugar intake and ensure you brush always after eating. So Science Focus says high sugar concentrations cause the bacterium to lose water by osmosis. Before we go to let's first read this one. How artificial sweeteners, sugar and sugar substitutes impact your gut microbiome. This is how they do it. They cause the bacterium to lose water by osmosis. Remember, osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So if your gut has a lot of sugars and in the bacterium cell there is a lot of water, water will by osmosis move from the cell of the bacterium into your gut now. So this bacterium will end up shrinking and dying off. That's how sugar affects the microbiome in your small intestine. These small organisms are very important and essential in our intestines. If they are not there, we have a problem. So it says, they lose water by osmosis and doesn't. Without this water, the bacteria cannot grow. It dies off. That's what causes the death of the change in the microbiome in your gut. So then what can we do then? So what foods are high in alkalinity as we look forward to starve the cancer? These are non-starchy veggies or vegetables, fruits, nuts such as chestnuts and pumpkin seeds, then legumes like kidney beans or white beans. They are very high in they cause alkalinity in the stomach. Then if you want to give aid to the growth of cancer, you'll go for acid foods like meat, milk, cheese, eggs. All these bring about acidity, and they have talked about grains, but of course, grains have both. They have the fiber, they have the endosperm, they have the germ and the bran. So these other ones lack all these: meat, cheese, eggs, and milk, and natural fire, and we want the alkalinity to starve the cancer that it might not grow. So what are 3 foods that lower the risk of cancer? We get example: berries, broccoli, tomatoes, walnuts, grapes, and other vegetables. Fruits and nuts, very good for your health. But someone says, I can't spend a day without a cup of tea with sugar. Well, that is a weak state. That's a weak defense. Like, you were not born with sugar, first of all. You're not born with a cup of tea. It's just you are mismanaging your time. That's why you think you can't start a day without sugar. If you start a day with sugar, like if you start a day properly managed, you can have the best of the day. Number 1, look out to prepare your own food during the morning. That calls for early waking up. So is morning tea good or bad? Well, it is rightly said that tea is an emotion, as it instantly uplifts the mood and gives your body the much needed energy to kickstart the day. But do you know, I like that word but. Do you know this morning ritual can silently ruin your digestive health? So if you think you cannot do well without a morning tea of sugar, then you might be injuring your digestive health. Not only that, your entire body. So number 1, tips on how to avoid a sugar tea morning. Wake up early in the morning, prepare food thoroughly. So it calls for early sleeping and early waking up. Prepare your food happily, whole grain food, wholesome food. And these are the examples of the wholesome food you can prepare for yourself at your home. So Jesus says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayst prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. Jesus wants us to be healthy. He doesn't want us to perish. He doesn't want us to have fake lifestyles. He wants us to be healthy. 3 John verse 2. So as we meet again, we shall look at the dangers on eating hot food. Is it dangerous to eat a hot meal? Yeah, thank you for listening in. Thank you for watching. Please share and enable someone to see these good things as we share also today. God bless you all.